Number 10, Let Me In. A coming of age that is not unexpectedly and disorientingly sweet even while something terrifying and or bloody is happening. Yes, it's very similar to the first film adaptation of the same novel, but it doesn't really matter when the final result is this good. The lovely visual palette and lazy sweeping camera movement creates a dreamy, sometimes nightmarish impression when combined with the patient pacing and terrifying cast speak volumes in the silence between their words. Released in October of 2010, this took only $24 million in 3 years, off to a $20 million budget. Sadly, it never enjoyed the attention it deserved from audiences. 9. A Woman in Black. A lush gothic haunted mansion story in the best classical tradition. Hammer Films had their finest revival entry by far with this gorgeously designed, atmospheric tale. Few horror films have this level of commitment to setup and presence, allowing the tension and dread to grow as we linger in each scene and location. This is one of those 2 films on the list that harken back to the good old-fashioned haunted house filmmaking of the 1960s and the 1970s. Budgeted at a modest $15 million, the $127 million worldwide box office was an impressive return. Troll Hunter. Troll, satirical without being a comedy, filled with terrific visual effects despite a low budget, and just flat-out wildly entertaining. It's a big monster movie with enough creepiness and carnage to qualify as a horror for this list, but it's also got terrific mythology and fantasy elements as well, and a fake documentary angle that is otherwise so overused in the genre never wears out its welcome here. That $5 million it managed from global receipts is not much above its $3.5 million budget, but it built a minor cult following on home release, and now a US remake is planned. Number 7, The Cabin in the Woods. Among my personal favorite modern horror films, this film includes samplings of just about every sort of horror filmmaking you can imagine. If the previous entry added some bloody gore to this list, then get out your map for this one, because the monsters get started. They never let up. It's as hilarious as it gets gory as it is fun, and somehow it manages to be one big home homage, and yet also entirely original all at the same time. The film more than doubled its $30 million budget with $66 million in theatrical revenue, but the studio's portion barely covered its expenses, and the marketing adds tens of millions more in the red column. Number 6, Oculus. Complex occult terror that devilishly throws off its balance in parallel stories, past and present, constantly forcing viewers to question and second-guess their expectations and perceptions. It delivers gory goods for those who think the rest of the list isn't quite bloody enough, but it's far more than that, and you'll appreciate the smart storytelling and effective casting. Number 5, It Follows. Whether perceived as the parable and danger of unprotected sex in the age of AIDS and pandemics, or a proclamation of reclaiming control of life and sexuality amid these sorts of dangers, or even as a more about broader concepts of simultaneous risk of intimacy and isolation in the modern hyper-connected world, it's undeniably great filmmaking. The relentless and personal nature of the central conflict makes it most of all a story simple about death. Number 4, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. Central shades of black and gray mingled into a hip western score for a vampire romance by way of The Dead Man and Rumblefish. Few directors in horror have a freshman outing as perfect as this, and it's brilliant in that blood lighting is of secondary importance to the main character and arcs woven throughout the film. With a micro budget, the film had a limited release and only took just under $500,000, but it received almost universal critical praise, as well as it should, and is building quite a following on home entertainment among horror. The Conjuring, supposedly based on a true story, but of course none of it is seriously true. It's old school haunted house seeming less extraordinary. There's the instantaneous timelessness of proceedings, and the visual texture that is drawn and rendered his career best. You want to ensure you spend the rest of the night awake under your covers, jumping at every creaking floorboard, and afraid to look at the closet door lest it seem to move. This is your ticket. At $20 million to produce, the film was a major hit, with $318 million worldwide, making one of the most profitable and highest grossing horror films in history. Number 2, The Babadook. A serious capacity to disturb viewers relies not just on the monstrous terror, but also psychological terror of the most frightening story. Some of the most unnerving, chilling moments are not of a creepy creature, but of the little boy as he seems to lose his mind or lashes out until his mother is losing hers. Amazingly effective with very few literal, traditional scares, it relies on tension and unsettling, real-life moments that make the darker parts all more horrific. Budgeted at a low $2 million, the film pulled nearly $7 million in theaters, and garnered widespread acclaim as one of the greatest modern horror releases. Number 1, Sinister. This film has been on my horror top list since its release, and it slowly made its way higher up into million. Now it's finally it's where it was designed to. The film has been on my top horror list since its releases, and it's slowly made its way higher with each footing. Now it finally sits where it's designed to, as the most terrifying, disturbing, well-acted, perfectly paced horror film, not just the last 5 years, but the last decade. It's a true modern classic that joins the ranks of The Exorcist, Halloween, Psycho, and other iconic productions that constitute the best streams of the genre. For the ultimate effect, watch this one late at night as possible. With all the lights off and either alone or just with a small number of other people, this film grossed $77 million off a $3 million budget, so it performs very well and had terrific